Drew McIntyre officially turns heel on Monday Night Raw and seemingly aligns with the Judgment Day ahead of a rumored Survivor Series War Games inclusion on their team. JD McDonough is now officially the 5th member of Judgment Day. However, Damian Priest says he's the leader of the faction. Details on that. Plus, Michael Cole seemingly takes a shot at All Elite Wrestling during last night's Monday Night Raw broadcast. We got the ratings for Friday night's SmackDown and AEW Rampage. Kevin Kelly officially leaves New Japan Pro Wrestling, and MJF is revealed to be an executive producer for the Iron Claw movie. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about Drew McIntyre. Broken dreams indeed for the Scottish Warrior, as an alignment between Drew McIntyre and Rhea Ripley has been teased for weeks. And Monday night, at the conclusion of the main event of Raw, it appears as though the two have finally come to terms on a deal. Now, in a back and forth bout for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships, pitting Damian Priest and Finn Balor against former champions Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, it appears as though the challengers were poised to recapture the gold. After a near fall following a Cody 1D on Balor that was broken up by Priest, things got vicious as all four combatants hit the outside. Priest blasted Rhodes into the ring post, obliterating one section of the LED panel, and then chokeslammed him onto the apron. He then made his way over to the other side of the ring, only to be hit by a flying Uso over the top rope. As Uso recovered and got to a knee, something drew his attention, and the camera quickly panned to a glaring McIntyre staring at the former Bloodline member. McIntyre then smashed Uso with a Claymore and rolled him into the ring, where Balor quickly made the cover to retain the tag titles. With the show coming to an end, Ripley and McIntyre shook hands atop of the entrance ramp as Rhodes and Uso looked on in disbelief. Time will tell whether or not McIntyre will officially be added to the War Games match at Survivor Series and what that will mean for the other side of the matchup in terms of potentially evening the sides. However, it was reported last week by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select. Indeed, there were plans, and there had been plans for months for McIntyre to be added to the Judgment Day team for that match. As far as who's going to be the person on the other side of things, we have covered that, but we're not going to spoil it here if you don't know, so be sure to check out those other videos on that. It was a busy night for the Judgment Day. One, we've got an extra member officially in the faction, but also, have we got an official leader of it as well? Well, in a fiery in-ring segment to start last night's Raw, one member of the Judgment Day declared himself as the leader of the faction. After two War Games teams came face-to-face to open Monday Night Raw, one member of the Judgment Day made a big claim. When being mocked by the good guy squad of Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, with the latter particularly wondering where the real leader of the Judgment Day, Rhea Ripley, was, there was an intriguing reply. Damian Priest said he was the leader of the Judgment Day. Furthermore, when Seth Rollins proposed a match with himself and Zayn taking on JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio in a tag team match right now, it was Priest who accepted on their behalf. With a somewhat surprised looking fellow members of the Judgment Day and the still auditioning member McDonough, as Michael Cole described him on commentary, we'll get to him in just a second, going along with Priest accepting the match, there was a tense discussion going into the commercial break. Now, when it comes to the leader of the Judgment Day, Rhea Ripley has reacted to her Damian Priest calling himself the leader of the Judgment Day. Now, as I mentioned, shortly after that match was proposed, it was accepted by Damian Priest. Unfortunately, there wouldn't be a winner to the tag team match, as pandemonium broke out at ringside as both War Games teams brawled again before being broken up by Raw General Manager Adam Pearce. Later in a backstage segment, Rhea Ripley addressed the comments by Priest as she began a bit sarcastic before pivoting to note that for the purposes of War Games, which she wasn't obviously going to be a part of, it was advantageous to assign a leader, and she believed Priest was the right choice. With Ripley co-signing that Priest should be the leader of the group through War Games, Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor ended up agreeing despite not looking too pleased at first. However, there would be a first task for the leader, and that was involving JD McDonough. Now, for the past 7 months, JD McDonough has been in the orbit of the Judgment Day, providing support as needed, but never being officially indoctrinated into the group. Well, that changed Monday night on Raw. That finally changed for him, with Damian Priest presenting McDonough with an official Judgment Day leather jacket and welcoming him to become a full-fledged member. After being drafted to Raw in late April earlier this year, McDonough's loose association with the Judgment Day quickly became apparent following his debut, with the Irish ace soon being scouted by Finn Balor, who of course trained McDonough, and the two share a hometown in Ireland. The affiliation has gone through many ups and downs, including several instances where Priest, more than any other member, showed distrust and aversion towards McDonough, getting any closer than he already was. As of late, however, McDonough has proved his loyalty by taking a few bullets for the group, including one on Monday that saved Priest during a melee after the opening tag team match ended in a no contest. In a backstage segment later, as the group discussed the upcoming main event, Rhea Ripley picked up a duffel bag and asked if they were ready to tend to the business at hand involving McDonough. Priest, who earlier on, as I mentioned, declared himself as the leader of the Judgment Day, insisted that he deliver the good news in person, ultimately telling McDonough that he'd earned it and was accepting him with open arms. So JD McDonough now officially a member of the Judgment Day. What are your thoughts on that? And what are your thoughts on Damian Priest being the leader of the Judgment Day through War Games and into the War Games match? Do you think this is the beginning of the end when it comes to the Judgment Day? How do you think this one will go for Priest, Ripley, and others? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. And lots of people were talking last night about Michael Cole taking some shots at AEW on Monday Night Raw. In the main event of last night's Raw, it came to fans live from the Capital One Center in Washington, D.C., and Michael Cole took a shot at AEW. During Cody Rhodes' entrance for his main event Tag Team Championship bout, Michael Cole on commentary referenced the significance of that particular building in his career. Cole said, quote, "Cody wrestled his first match back on SmackDown in the Capital One Arena. He did some other stuff in this building as well." Now, the other stuff that Michael Cole refers to is likely the television debut of AEW Dynamite in October 2019, which hailed from the very same venue. With Cody Rhodes taking on Sammy Guevara on the debut episode of AEW Dynamite, it certainly was a memorable event in his career. It would later be Sammy Guevara who would be Cody's last opponent in AEW, a ladder match that Guevara won the TNT Championship in. So, what are your thoughts when it comes to Michael Cole? Is it an innocent shot? Is it something a bit more? Is it something that social media will whip into a frenzy about? Is it, an example of people being hypocritical when they don't like AEW referencing WWE? What is it when happens when WWE references AEW? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments section below. Now let's get into some ratings. Firstly, for Friday Night SmackDown on Fox, after both Raw and NXT showed strong rebounds in ratings over previous week's episode, WWE was surely looking for SmackDown to show some sort of jump this past Friday night. And while the numbers were not up to the extent of the previous two shows, SmackDown did continue the trend of WWE shows having an increase over the previous episode. WrestleNomics announced that Friday's episode of SmackDown drew 2.195 million total viewers and a 0.57 in the 18 to 49 demographic. Now, both numbers were up slightly from the previous week, with total viewers rising 4% from 2.119 million viewers, while the 18 to 49 was up 8% from a 0.53. As has been the case in previous weeks, SmackDown faced competition from the NBA, with a Celtics versus Nets game drawing 1.408 million total viewers, going head-to-head with the Blue brand. The theme for SmackDown was steady, with the show's quarter hours constantly hovering around the same numbers. The show, which began with an LWO promo and the first half of Carlito versus Bobby Lashley, started with 2.238 million viewers and a 0.55 in the 18 to 49, which would tie with quarter hour 4 for the low point in the demo. The show would peak in total viewers at quarter hour 3, drawing 2.328 million viewers, while the 18 to 49 would peak in quarter hour 5 and 6, drawing a 0.60. The low point in total viewers would come in quarter hour 4, where Dragon Lee and Cedric Alexander's match would draw 2.109 million viewers. SmackDown was notable for featuring two big turns throughout the show, starting with Santos Escobar betraying Rey Mysterio following the Carlito Lashley match. The show would then close with Asuka turning on Bianca Belair and Charlotte, siding with Io Sky, Kairi Sane, Bayley and Dakota Kai, and seemingly joining Damage Control in the process. Now, speaking of ratings, we've got the ratings for AEW Rampage on TNT the same night as well. Obviously nowhere near when it comes to SmackDown's numbers. According to Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, Rampage drew 322,000 viewers, which is up quite significantly from the November 3rd edition that drew 298,000 viewers. In the key 18 to 49 demographic, Friday's episode scored a 0.12 rating. This is also up from the week prior that scored a 0.11 rating. The show featured FTR defeating Commander and El Hijo del Vikingo in the main events. Also, Ricky Starks defeated Preston Vance. Post-match, Starks and Big Bill jumped Vance advance until LFI made the save. Meanwhile, Red Velvet picked up a victory over Ruby Soho after she received flowers during her bout. It must also be said that this was a live episode of Rampage, so it was expected the numbers would be higher. Of course, there was a big taping Friday of not only Rampage being live, but also AEW Collision being taped to air the following night on TNT2. Of course, we'll have the Collision ratings most likely sometime later today. Now, Kevin Kelly is officially no longer affiliated with New Japan Pro Wrestling. We knew this was kind of coming, but now it's official. Kevin Kelly's time as the English commentator for New Japan Pro Wrestling is over, with a storied 8-year tenure with the promotion officially coming to an end on Monday. The 56-year-old first joined New Japan back in 2015 and has become the voice of the promotion outside of Japan ever since, calling a plethora of Wrestle Kingdom, G1 Climax, and Dominion events, as well as helping the company reach new heights in the United States and across the globe. After signing with AEW earlier this year to become one of the commentators for Collision on Saturday nights, Kelly confirmed his time in Japan would be coming to an end in the foreseeable future, initially placing an onus on his employees to set a final date for his departure. However, over the weekend, eagle-eyed fans spotted Kelly's official addition to the AEW roster page, prompting the play-by-play caller to respond on social media, saying he was proud to be a part of the team at Tony Khan's company. The confirmation prompted New Japan to release a statement regarding Kelly's future, thanking the New York native for his efforts behind the microphone and revealing he would miss Wrestle Kingdom 18 in early January due to family commitments. In recent months, New Japan has added Walker Stewart to the booth for English broadcasts, and he appears to be factored into the long-term commentary plans alongside Chris Charlton. So Kevin Kelly finished up with New Japan Pro Wrestling. What are your best Kevin Kelly memories, and what's the best match Kevin Kelly's called in New Japan? Let me know your thoughts and takes with that one. Finally, MJF is not just an actor, he's an executive producer now as well as being the AEW World Champion. MJF has commented on being an executive producer for The Iron Claw. An official poster for the film was released on Monday, revealing MJF's behind-the-scenes role. He also portrays Lance Von Erich in the film. 27 years old, executive producer for an A24 movie and masterpiece by Sean Durkin. Proud is an understatement, however, I don't have time to celebrate. I'm a man on an island surrounded by the enemy, and November 18th will be my hardest obstacle yet, MJF writes on social media. Again, MJF was also going to be an actor in the role as well. The film is set to be released in theaters on December 22nd, 2023. Sean Durkin wrote and directed the project. Of course, it features the rise and fall of the Von Erich dynasty in world-class championship wrestling from the 60s to really the present day. That's what they're describing in the film anyway. Members of the cast include Jeremy Allen White, Kerry Von Erich, Zac Efron as Kevin Von Erich, Harris Dickinson as David Von Erich, and Holt McClaney as Fritz Von Erich as well. Now, speaking of MJF 2, he's going to have a busy couple of weeks. He mentioned he's wrestling at Full Gear this coming weekend, and he's set to speak tonight on AEW Dynamite as well. Following Jay White's victory over Mark Briscoe in the main event last week, the AEW World Champion came down to get his title before White escaped. However, the show ended with the Devil and his army attacking MJF's now, I guess, friends, the Acclaimed and daddy-ass Billy Gunn. On November 13, that being yesterday, All Elite Wrestling announced that MJF will speak following this attack on the AEW World Trios Champions, and this will be taking place this week on AEW Dynamite. Of course, the go-home show for Full Gear. MJF is set to defend his AEW World title against Switchblade Jay White on Saturday, November 18th at Full Gear in California. Do you plan on watching The Iron Claw? Would you like to see us do a review of the film or something like that in the future? Let me know your thoughts about that too. Anyway, guys, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.